What's up, guys? It's Analyst, and we're back again for another YouTube video. Apologies that I wasn't able to get the video out on Thursday when I originally planned. I had a family emergency involving my dog. Everything's okay, but yeah, just wanted to get that out there. I wasn't able to record, and I'm recording today. Today's Friday, so the Thursday game has passed. Some reactions from that. I mean, it was kind of a standstill most of the game. Rashad Bateman got some great garbage time towards the end, and it really worked out in his favor. But, yeah, I mean, look, if you had Lamar, you're disappointed with what he put, with what he put out there. Mark Andrews came through. Marquise Brown maybe got you through the week. On the Dolphins side, it was an even week for Myles Gaskin, so he flopped. Yeah, it's just kind of a weird start to this week, but it's only one game out of what is this, like 13? I don't even know of how many with different teams on a bye week, so don't lose hope yet for the week. Okay, we're gonna jump straight into this. We're gonna start with the 1:00 games here. The first 1:00 game that we're gonna talk about is Atlanta and Dallas. So last week for Dallas, kind of a weird game also. Dak Prescott couldn't get it going. They kind of got blown out by the Broncos. Malik Taylor had 2 touchdowns in the day. CeeDee Lamb had like 10 targets and only 2 catches. First game back for Dak Prescott. Maybe it should have been Cooper Rush at that point. But, it's good to get your feet wet before you get back to the full swing of things. I think Dallas can bounce back here, and clearly Vegas does too. 9.5-point favorites. Zeke, he's supposed to be playing in this game, so assuming he does, you can start him. Wide receivers, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, I think they'll both bounce back here. I don't know what happened with Malik Taylor. I think it was just a combination of nothing in this offense worked, and Malik Taylor wasn't seeing like any coverage, so he just kind of had his game. But I really like Dalton Schultz this week. Last week was supposed to be his big week, but Blake Jarwin is still out. Atlanta sucks against tight ends. And, Schultz is going to see opportune matchups. So, yeah, I do like Schultz this week a lot. From the Atlanta side, Mike Davis is still not startable. He's getting more snaps, or he's tied with Cordero Patterson just about every single week, but he's just not getting the touches. And whatever touches he does get, he's not doing much with them. So, Mike Davis at this point is just really not startable. Russell Gage, he has led the team with 8 targets last week. He could find himself in another similar situation this week against a weak Dallas secondary. Trevon Diggs, as many interceptions as he has been absolute dog crap. I don't know if I could say, well, I'm not monetized, so I can say dog shit, but yeah, he's been pretty dog shit in coverage. So, and I know Gage is going to most likely line up in the slot against Jordan Lewis, and Jordan Lewis couldn't really do anything against Jerry Jeudy last week. He hasn't been good this whole year. So Russell Gage, I do like a lot this week. Kyle Pitts, I think he's going to bounce back too. I think Matt Ryan's coming off his best game of the year. And they're going to have to move the ball against Dallas. And Kyle Pitts is going to be the way to do it. So him and Russell Gage, I'm cool with starting this week. Next game we have here is Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. So for Indianapolis, Carson Wentz is a great streamer this week. He's had a lot of success the last couple weeks. Apparently, he's awaiting the birth of his child, and that might happen on Sunday. I think Carson Wentz is playing regardless. We'll have to see how this unfolds, but for the most part, I think we can expect Carson Wentz to play in this game. Probably meet up with his wife and new kid, hopefully right after the game. But yeah, Carson Wentz is looking like a good streamer. Jonathan Taylor, do I even have to talk about? He should be playing in everybody's lineups. There's not a world where you have Jonathan Taylor and you're sitting him, especially against Jacksonville. The only wide receiver I want to trust in this offense is Michael Pittman. Zach Pascal, he's been in there for the snaps. He's playing as a starter, but he's just not enough volume going his way. T.Y. Hilton expected to play in this game after another injury. Again, not a guy I want to trust. So, yeah, it's going to be Carson Wentz streaming, Jonathan Taylor 100% starting, Michael Pittman 100% starting. Now, I know I'm going to get some questions about Nahim Hines because of the success he had last week. If I would say he's a very, very desperate option if Marlon Mack is again labeled an inactive. Because that kind of, that was a big reason why Nahim Hines was used so much. Jonathan Taylor kind of just was able to sit on the side while Nahim Hines came in. They only had 2 running backs active. So they had no choice but to have one guy out there. They had to run the ball. They did some short passes. The Jets defense is absolute crap. So yeah, I don't know if this game's going to be just the same, especially coming off a game where they beat Buffalo, Josh Allen, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so I wouldn't get too excited about Nahim Hines. This is the Jonathan Taylor show, and this is going to be a show for sure. For Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence expected to play in this game despite getting an ankle injury. Running back wise, James Robinson, he practiced and he is now expected to play. He's officially labeled questionable, and unless he has a setback, I'm expecting James Robinson to play in this game. Meaning, if James Robinson is playing, you are starting him. I don't trust Marvin Jones. I don't trust LaVisca. I don't even trust Jamal Agnew anymore. The only guy I do trust is Dan Arnold. He has been very consistent. He had 25% target share and 18.5% target share over the last 2 weeks. He's got 10 plus fantasy points in each of those weeks. Dan Arnold seems to be the way to go. So if you need to start a pass catcher in this offense, I can't believe it's going to be Dan Arnold. That's crazy. Let's move on here to a less endearing game. Is Pittsburgh versus Detroit. So my notes are a little all over the place. For Pittsburgh, Big Ben should be playing this week. Running back wise, Najee Harris came up with a bit of an injury, but he's expected to play through it and be in this game. Wide receiver wise, Chase Claypool is out this week. Chase Claypool is out, and it's possible it could be a multi-week absence. It's not as serious as they originally thought in terms of his injury, but it's probably going to not play this week, and he's officially not playing this week, and maybe not the following week either. So it's going to be Deontay Johnson, it's going to be Najee Harris, and it's going to be Pat Freiermuth. So Pat Freiermuth, the last 2 weeks, since the bye, he's had 14.4 and 21.3 fantasy points, 3 touchdowns, and 13 targets in that span. Guys, Pat is the tight end 1 over the last 2 weeks. He's the number 1 tight end in fantasy football over the last 2 weeks. He's going to continue that rampage whether Eric Ebron plays or not this week. I'm not interested in James Washington or Ray McLeod in the absence of Chase Claypool. Claypool wasn't really getting too much consistent targets anyway. I think we're just going to see more targets for Najee, more targets for Deontay, and more targets for Pat. I think that's where the target's going to disperse without Chase Claypool on the field. So I'm not looking to start any of these extra wide receivers, especially with the way Big Ben has been playing. As for Detroit, Jared Goff, he's going to do his thing. Running back wise, Deandra Swift, he seems to have some bad weeks here and there, but I think Deandra Swift should be in for a pretty good one here. David Montgomery was able to have some success running on them, and looks like Jamal Williams may not be playing in this game, which just means other guys will take his place. So if he does play, it still doesn't make much of a difference. But yeah, you're starting DeAndre Swift. And wide receiver wise, I'm not trusting Amon-Ra St. Brown. If anything, it's just going to be T.J. Hockenson. We saw what Cole Kmet was able to do to this defense last week. So, yeah, there's a good chance T.J. Hockenson has a decent game here. Next up on the list is New England versus Cleveland. Kind of a messy game as well. For New England, Mac Jones, again, not a guy I'm really comfortable starting on a week-to-week basis. Running back-wise, both Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson are game-time decisions, both dealing with concussions. I did see an update on Stephenson, which said he might be playing. I haven't seen anything on Harris. I looked back at their concussion history, and at least for Damien Harris, what I found is that he had a concussion in his senior year of college. That was still years ago. And I believe it was for a championship game, right before a championship game. But yeah, so Damien Harris does have concussions in his past. Stevenson, I couldn't really find anything on. So Again, that was years ago, so I don't know what that tells you. But I know one, popular thing for concussions is if you have a history of them, it's going to take you longer to come back. Damien Harris and Ronda or Stephenson, if either one of these guys plays, I like them as a start. If neither of these guys play, I like Brandon Bolden. And that's how I'm going to look at this backfield for right now. Wide receiver wise, Jacoby Myers just not getting it done lately. None of these pass catchers have really been all that consistent. It's probably going to be a close game, low point total, so I'm not overall interested in Hunter Henry or Jacoby Myers or Kendrick Bourne or anyone like that. For the Cleveland side, it looks like Nick Chubb is going to be he's officially out this week. So Nick Chubb will not be ready. I don't think I saw an official word on Demetric Felton, but Dearness Johnson is coming back strong. He's borderline must start against New England. Especially with what we saw from the last time he played against Denver. So, yeah, Dearness Johnson should be in everybody's lineups. Wide receiver-wise, I do like Jarvis Landry. Obviously, as you know, he played for many years in Miami. He has experience tearing up New England's secondary. And with OBJ gone, I know last week he didn't really get the target share we were hoping for, but without Nick Chubb, they'll have to kind of make up some of that offense. I don't think Cleveland's going to be ahead in this game for most of it. So, yeah, I think Jarvis Landry is going to be the way to go for this game. I do like Jarvis Landry. Yeah, so let's look at New York Jets versus Buffalo. I want to say the Jets have a chance. They have Mike White, and the Jaguars beat the Buffalo Bills last week. But at the end of the day, it is still the Jets. Mike White is coming back this week, as I mentioned, which means Michael Carter is sliding back into a starting role. He had a 28.6 and a 22% target share with Mike White. So, with Mike White back, I'll be all over Carter this week. Corey Davis also expected back. He looked good with, I think it was a hamstring injury he was dealing with. He's going to be able to play. This is a defense that's typically great against slot wide receivers, so I was a little down on Jameson Crowder. Then I saw Taron Johnson, their slot corner, may not play in this game, so it kind of opens up the field for anyone to get involved. I think this is going to be more so of a Corey Davis and Elijah Moore game. Denzel Mims, who matched Elijah Moore in snaps last week on the outside, is going to be out for a bit. So with Denzel Mims out, looks like Elijah Moore might have established himself as that primary outside wide receiver next to Corey Davis. So Elijah Moore, he could see a lot of work this week, especially if they like what he did last week. He had 2 touchdowns. He was the wide receiver 1 of all fantasy last week. So yeah, Elijah Moore is getting started. So I don't hate Elijah Moore. I don't hate Corey Davis. As for the Buffalo side, I believe at this point Zach Moss is projected to play. If Zach Moss does play, I think he's a great start against the Jets, who have been awful against running backs. In fact, the worst against running backs. And then you guys know the deal. Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, all flex-worthy plays. I mean, Diggs being a low-end wide receiver 1. Dawson Knox also returning for this game, so be careful for that. Next up, Washington against Tampa Bay. For Washington, it's still Taylor Heineke, and I'm still not comfortable with starting Antonio Gibson. He's still dealing with that shin injury. This might be the worst possible matchup. This is much more of a J.D. McKissick game. He's averaging over 15.3 points per game in the last 3 weeks. So, J.D. McKissick, if you have both of these guys and you're in a PPR, I would start J.D. McKissick over Antonio Gibson because I'm just not liking Antonio Gibson at all this week. Wide receiver wise, you guys know what to deal with Terry. Either he has a big game or he doesn't. Tampa Bay secondary is still not up to 100%. It's definitely getting healthier, especially after the bye, but still not 100%. So Terry is going to be in my lineups. Logan Thomas doesn't seem ready to come back, so Ricky Seals-Jones also in that low tight end 1 conversation. As for Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, he's going to do his thing. Leonard Fournette, he's on a roll. He's the ultimate workhorse right now, so that should continue against a weak Washington defense. Wide receiver wise, okay, Antonio Brown out. Chris Godwin, he is a game time decision. And I find it hard to believe that Chris Godwin's going to make his way into this game. So Mike Evans obviously must start. And I like Tyler Johnson, who had some success over the last couple weeks. He's super intriguing here, not only just for DFS, but as a desperate flex play. I like Tyler Johnson a lot this week. So if you're in a tough spot, he's worth a shot. OJ Howard, if you got to pick a tight end, for a while I was looking at it was Howard, but situation's a little choppy. Scotty Miller's also back, so that's someone else to look out for. But yeah, I do like Tyler Johnson this week a lot. Tennessee versus New Orleans. Just got the news before I started recording that Alvin Kamara is officially out this week with what they're calling a knee injury. He's not on IR, so there's a chance this is not a multi-week absence. They're saying he has a knee sprain, which he could have gotten just before the bye. They say it's not serious, so yeah, I would expect Alvin Kamara after this week to be back the following week, if not the week after. So this will not be too much of an extended absence for Alvin Kamara. Mark Ingram becomes kind of a must-start this week. I think Mark Ingram is going to get a lot of work. It's going to be Trevor Simeon at quarterback. Last week, Deontay Harris led the wide receivers in targets. These tight ends, nothing consistent there. So if you need a wide receiver play, I'm not really about Marquez Callaway. I'm more so on the Deontay Harris bandwagon, especially if you have kick return and punt return yards in your league. So I think Deontay Harris is going to have a pretty good game. As for Tennessee, really bad game for Adrian Peterson to play in. But then again, this is a 3-person backfield. I'm not trusting Adrian Peterson in my lineup. I'm not trusting Jeremy McNichols, and I'm definitely not trusting Deontay Foreman. So, kind of a messy situation. A.J. Brown, full go. He's expected to play in this game. Julio Jones, who was a full go on Thursday, has now been downgraded to did not practice on Friday with a hamstring injury. It seems like he had some sort of setback. If you're banking on Julio Jones playing in this game, I would have a backup plan because it sounds like he may not play in this game. Tight end wise, you guys know the deal with Tennessee tight ends. There's nothing to really talk about. When it comes to Minnesota and Chargers, Chargers at home, I like Justin Herbert in a potential shootout. We have a 53.5 point total here. Austin Eckler, love him this week. Keenan Allen dealing with an injury, expected to play. I do love Keenan Allen. I think Mike Williams could bounce back in this game as well. And yeah, Jared Cook just becomes a what-if type play, and Donald Parham, maybe he gets some more red zone receptions. As far as Minnesota goes, Kirk Cousins, another potential shootout for him. He's had plenty of those this year. Delvin Cook, he's run into a little bit of a legal trouble. Right now, it's kind of a he said, she said. There's no specific direction that the league is taking. He is cleared to play, so Delvin Cook will be playing in this game. Wide receiver wise, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, you're starting those guys up. Tyler Conklin, kind of similar deal to Jared Cook, a what if type play. Arizona at home hosting the Carolina Panthers. Kyler did practice on Friday, so it seems like Kyler Murray is going to be playing this week. DeAndre Hopkins, I haven't seen much of an update for Hopkins, but it's never bad to have a backup plan just in case. I believe DeAndre Hopkins and what's his name? DeAndre Hopkins and Ronda Moore are both game time decisions. So I'm looking at this right now. It seems like DeAndre Hopkins is listed as questionable. He's held out of practice the entire week, but he will be a game time decision. So yeah, I'm not too hot on starting DeAndre Hopkins this week, especially if you have other options available to you. Man, it's getting tough out here. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to start Brandon Bolden in multiple leagues. It's getting dirty, guys. It's getting dirty. My gosh. Oh, this league, I was top of the world. I was like 6-1, and then Derrick Henry got hurt. Now I'm 6-3. I'm starting Brandon Bolden, Corey Davis. It's all going downhill, but it's okay. It's okay, guys. It's okay. But Getting distracted here. So yeah, James Conner, on the other hand, full RB1 season for James Conner. If you have James Conner, I would recommend starting him for as long as you can. As long as Chase Edmonds is out, more so. Wide receiver wise, if DeAndre Hopkins is not playing, it's going to be likely the Christian Kirk show. Ronda, more I mentioned, game time decision. AJ Green, also a viable option this week, especially if you're desperate. Tight end wise, Zach Ertz, he'll do his thing. Carolina, how about bringing back Cam Newton? Cam Newton is not going to play this week, though. It's going to be PJ Walker making the start. So Christian McCaffrey no longer on the injury report. Wide receivers, DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is definitely still startable. And that's really all I feel comfortable with. I really only feel comfortable with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore. There's no one else in Carolina that I really want to start right now. Okay. We got a couple more matchups here. We got Green Bay hosting Seattle. So Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson will be back this week. There is a small chance Aaron Rodgers does not play, but it's looking like Aaron Rodgers does play. I want to see the split between Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. It seems a little worrisome on on the outside, but really when you look at it, AJ Dillon last 2 weeks he's had 24 carries and 4 targets, and over the last 2 weeks, Aaron Jones has had 27 carries and 13 targets. So Aaron Jones is still the lead dog in this backfield. He's still getting majority of the snaps. Dillon just had a little bit of a better game last week, but I'm still starting Aaron Jones with confidence, especially against Seattle, who has been very weak against running backs. Wide receiver wise for Green Bay, Allen Lazard in his last 3 weeks, 11.7 points, 17 points, and 9 fantasy points. He did miss that one game 2 weeks ago, but it seems like Allen Lazard and is kind of starting to show up as the wide receiver too in Green Bay. So I want to see if that will continue, especially with Aaron Rodgers back in the lineup. Don't really have to talk about Devontae Adams and none of these other guys I really want to talk about. Seattle, Russell Wilson, I mentioned, is going to be back. Chris Carson is a game time decision, and even when he does play, this could potentially be a timeshare, so I'm not really about Chris Carson here. Lock him DK. Start them both. DK is likely going to see a tough matchup against Jared Alexander, but I'm not too worried about that. I think DK can still have a big game. I think Lockett's going to bounce back too. Denver Broncos versus Philadelphia Eagles. Teddy Bridgewater, he showed out last game. Sorry about that, guys. I had a call I had to answer just in case it was an emergency. But yeah, I was talking about Teddy Bridgewater showed up last week. I think he's a decent streamer this week as well. Running back wise, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, both these guys flex plays. Wide receiver wise, Courtland Sutton, I think he's going to see a lot of Darius Slay, so I'm going to stay away from Sutton. I think Judy has the better matchup in the slot. Noah Fant still out this week, and Albert O questionable. Tim Patrick also questionable. So I think this is more of a Jerry Judy week. For Philadelphia, Sanders will need more time. It looks like Miles Sanders is going to need another week, but then Miles Sanders should be back after that. That being said, Jordan Howard has had a little bit of a career resurgence these last few weeks. He had 17 carries in week 9 for 71 yards and a touchdown. The Broncos have one of the worst front sevens in the entire league. I don't think Jordan Howard's a bad start at all this week, especially if you're desperate. Devontae Smith, he was questionable during the week, but he practiced in full. And if he builds off last week, it's just going to take Jalen Hurts passing the ball for him to have a good game. Very possible that happens. And Dallas Goedert, pretty much the same deal. Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Raiders at home. Derek Carr, he's, kind of fell back a little bit last week. Josh Jacobs, I think he could have a pretty good game here. Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, you're starting these guys. There's not really too much to go over. They did sign Deshaun Jackson. I don't think he's going to have that much of an impact, especially, first game with them, but we'll see. As far as Kansas City goes, I believe Clyde Edwards, and let me correct me if I'm wrong because my notes might say otherwise. I believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be back this week. Clyde. No, he is not. Yeah, so it's probably a stretch for Clyde to be back, which means you're still starting Darrell Williams, and you're running that train until you can no longer ride it. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, you guys know the deal. You starting those guys. San Francisco hosting the LA Rams. I'm predicting this is going to be a Trey Lance game. I think Jimmy G gets benched, and I think Trey Lance comes in. Maybe he doesn't win, but I think Trey Lance does come in this game. Just a prediction. Elijah Mitchell, he, tough matchup. Very tough matchup. Jeff Wilson was technically active last week, but he did not see a single snap. So there's a chance Jeff Wilson gets a little more involved this week. I'm going to be a little careful of Elijah Mitchell, but I'm probably still starting him based off volume. Even last week, he saw 5 targets, which is not something we've ever seen him do for this team. So if they truly view him as their RB1, then he's a weekly start. And it seems like that's the direction they're heading. Debo got a tough matchup here. Brandon Ayuk has looked great lately. And George Kittle is coming back. So I think Debo you can start, but just lower your expectations a little bit. Brandon Ayuk, I might even lower expectations for him as well. And George Kittle, I think, is going to be the star of the show for San Francisco. As for the Rams, they just signed OBJ, so things are getting crazy. San Francisco has actually been one of the worst defenses against running backs. So Darrell Henderson, I'm fine with starting this week. Wide receivers... again, not a defense that has been able to handle any of these wide receivers. So Cooper Kupp could go off. Robert Woods can go off. And yeah, that's really about it. OBJ, he's not expected to play in this game. If he does become active, he'll probably see very, very limited snaps, if any. He literally just flew in today to sign his contract. So yeah, I don't know about that one. They do play on Monday, so it's possible, but I'm not starting OBJ by any means. But I appreciate your patience with me, guys. Hopefully I'll be able to get the video out next week a little sooner. We have a Thursday night matchup between the Falcons and the Patriots, so that'll be an interesting one. But yeah, for now, appreciate you guys for checking out the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.